Unit 5. Exercises. Number 1. There's a saying that there are no cultural relativists at 30,000 feet. The laws of aerodynamics work regardless of political or social prejudices, and they are indisputably true. Yes, you can discuss to what extent they are an approximation. What are their limits of validity? Do they take into account such details as quantum entanglement or unified field theory? Of course they don't. But the most basic scientific concept that is clearly and disturbingly missing from today's social and political discourse is the concept that some questions have correct and clear answers. Such questions can be called scientific, and their answers represent truth. Scientific questions are not easy to ask. Their answers can be validated by experiment or observation, and they can be used to improve your life, create jobs and technologies, save the planet. You don't need posters or randomized trials to determine if a parachute works. You need an understanding of the facts of aerodynamics and the methodology to do experiments. Number 2. When a community stopped hunting female wild cattle, those herds would, over time, tolerate the closer presence of humans. By watching the wild cattle, as our deep ancestors watched predators and learned about their lives, these more recent ancestors could have begun to understand the life cycle of the wild cattle and made a few risky but creative ventures. They started bringing a few, as youngsters, into the villages, building pens and trying to keep them alive, and they succeeded. They'd been watching the cattle across generations. They knew about their life cycles, shared that information with one another, and collaboratively came up with ideas about raising their own cattle. And thus prey domestication was born. Once cattle, sheep, pigs, llamas, and goats were living with humans, it was a simple task to do, like with dogs, a bit of behavioral and morphological shaping via direct manipulation for wool, milk production, or rapid growth for meat. The selection of specific individuals to breed was an initial step toward modern domestic animals. And hamburgers. Number 3. The primary impetus of scientific and technical innovation has been our increased ability to reach out and exchange ideas with others, as well as to borrow other people's ideas and blend them with our own to create something new. Combinatorial creativity is the acknowledgement that nothing is genuinely unique, at least not in the sense of being constructed entirely from scratch. That notion is met with considerable resistance in creative spaces. To create is to start with a blank canvas. However, much data exists to support this ecosystem of influences and inspirations. Nina Paley, an artist, shot and animated ancient relics from the Metropolitan Museum of Art to illustrate her point that all creation is derivative. Every work of art is a derivative work. In animation, Oliver Larrick examines the reappropriation of images in his video essay, Versions, by looking at how Disney recycles animation. Creativity is the original open source code. Number 4. Freud long ago distinguished between the conscious and the unconscious minds. But today's understanding of the unconscious mind is not Freud's seething unconsciousness, with its repressed impulses and instincts. It's a cooler and bigger information processing system. Our memory, thinking, language, attitudes, and perceptions all operate on these two tracks: a conscious, deliberate high road and an unconscious, automatic low road. Our high road mind is reflective. Our low road mind is intuitive. Consider driving. Your brain and hands know how to move into the right lane. But if you are like most drivers, you can't consciously explain how you do it. Most drivers say they would turn right, then straighten out. but that would steer them off the road. Actually, after moving right, you reverse the steering wheel equally to the left of center, and only then return to the center position. But no worries, your low road-guided hands know how to do it.